One other thing I wanted to mention, and welcome to Chapter 2, Part 2. We were talking about the different fund types, and the last one I talked about on Chapter 2, Part 1 tape was the fiduciary fund, and I mentioned an agency fund with a fiduciary fund. And one example of an agency fund, and I'll refer back to, again, this Wake County tax invoice or tax billing that you've got. And what I'm going to try to do too is scan an example of this into into Blackboard so you can see specifically. This is a condo that I used to have. I sold it last summer, and you can see in it the tax revenues. And what I did with this condo, I paid the tax in its entirety to Wake County. Included in the Wake County tax was the Wake County portion and the portion to the City of Raleigh. Wake County is a governmental entity. Wake County has a fiduciary fund type, and specifically under the fiduciary fund type, there is an agency fund. And the agency fund basically is a holding fund for, in this example, the City of Raleigh taxes that I paid in its entirety to Wake County. Review. I paid Wake County my taxes, Wake County revenue, or Wake County government my taxes. For the City of Raleigh portion, they place that in a fiduciary fund. They place that in a fiduciary fund, and then at some point in time, pursuant to an agreement with the City of Raleigh, that money was paid to the City of Raleigh. Here's an example of the journal entry for that payment. What they would have done would have been to have debited a liability account in the fiduciary fund and credited cash. Remember, whenever a payment is made, you're going to credit cash. Same thing with a governmental entity. When a payment is made, the journal entry would be to credit cash. Other municipalities would receive funds like that as well. Town of Cary, Town of Knightdale, Wake Forest, Wendell, and various other municipalities. All the money is paid by either you or your mortgage company through escrow to the Wake County government, and then the money is placed in an agency fund for City of Raleigh, Town of Cary, Town of Knightdale, and the other municipalities that I mentioned in my example of agency fund. Okay, just want to introduce you to that in this. Okay, we've got modified accrual accounting versus accrual accounting. Modified accrual accounting versus accrual accounting. And modified accrual is defined in Chapter 2, and I want you, in my notes, I mentioned I want you to read it, reread it, and reread it. I want you to memorize what that says. Basically, in modified accrual accounting, revenues are recognized when they become available and measurable. Two key words, available and measurable. Expenditures are encountered versus expenses being utilized. You see expenditures and not expenses. Proprietary fund uses accrual accounting. Fiduciary fund uses accrual accounting. Okay. In the notes for Chapter 2, I list references to the Wake County Public School capital. Okay? And you need to take a look at the examples that I have listed in there. I'm not going to go through the page numbers within our video today, but I do want to refer you to the notes for Chapter 2. You can go to the page numbers and specifically some of the financial statements, and I also list, try to point out to you numeric examples from those financial statements. Near the end of Chapter 2 is an illustration of governmental fund and proprietary fund financial statements. This is Chapter 2 in your textbook. there's an example or an illustration of those financial statements. I want you to take a look at them. Notice the governmental funds use the term expenditures. The proprietary funds use the term expenses. Those are two main differences with them. Okay, Chapter 2, you've got two multiple choice end of the chapter tests to take. When you look at the end of Chapter 2, there are two sets of multiple choice questions there. Okay? Look at them. I would go through them and answer them, and I think as you go into Blackboard with the automated end of Chapter 2 test-taking procedure, you will see many of those same questions listed. Remember, in the multiple choice questions, I want you to look at keywords, very important, keywords in the questions and the answers. If you just have a not, okay, in the question, that could change the question entirely, and just be aware of those keywords. Also, you've got homework assignments due as well, and stay on top of this class. You don't need to get behind, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call me, email me, come by my office. If the office hours don't work for you, give me a call, email me, let's set up another time. I want to keep you informed, I want to keep you up to date, and I want to answer any questions that you may have. One last thing, well, two last things. I want to point out, and I made one chart with the categories and the basis of accounting. Governmental, modified accrual. Proprietary, accrual. Fiduciary, accrual. One more thing, the last thing, right as I'm filming this, we're in the hockey playoffs, and so I'm a big Hurricanes fan. I'm mourning the fact that they're not in the playoffs. Hopefully 2008, 2009, they'll make it. But just want to say, go Canes. Good luck with Chapter 2. Any questions, don't hesitate to give me a call.